Hi guys, welcome to the Art Occultist. My name is Elisa and I am so happy to have you here with me today. Today we are covering a very dear to my heart topic, and we are going to be talking about spiritual relationships, deity relationships, all those good stuff. I've been postponing this video for a while now, but today I finally felt that it's time to do it. So let's start with what are spiritual relationships. A spiritual relationship is a relationship between you and a disembodied spiritual intelligence. It may be a spirit guide, an ancestor spirit, animal or plant ally spirits, deities, angels, demons, you name it. Any spirit that doesn't have a body. You can form a relationship with it or a connection with it. You can talk to it, you can learn from it, you can ask it for help, etc. So, in the spiritual and witchcraft communities, especially online, there are two terms that are most often used when practitioners are speaking about spiritual relationships. The first one is deity work or spiritual work, and it applies that you are working with the spirit, and it is somewhat of a transactional relationship. Now, I personally don't like using this term, especially when I'm describing my relationship to my gods. I much more prefer the term spiritual relationship because it feels like a relationship to me. It doesn't feel like work, because work is something that a lot of us in the mundane sphere we don't enjoy, in terms of it sounds like an obligation, if you will. And the term spiritual relationship, for me personally, fits so much better when I'm describing my connection to my gods and deities. The second term is worship. Worship has a lot of religious connotations to it, and in my opinion, it also doesn't fully capture the essence of my relationship to Hecate, for example, because worship applies that the deity is so much higher than you, and they don't know that you exist and you are just worshiping them. It's not a very healthy dynamic, in my personal opinion. So I prefer to look at spiritual connections as a relationship, a two-sided relationship where both parties are equally involved in the dynamic. Now, this doesn't mean that I am, as a human, am on the level of the deity or of Hecate, for example. But it means that I show up and she shows up, and there is a expectation of mutual respect. Because I am a spiritual being as well, and she is a goddess. Yes, she is above me. She is more powerful, more knowing, all of those things. But there is still this aspect and this part of mutual care and mutual respect. So before you dive into spiritual work or deity relationships, please sit down and contemplate the differences between all those terms that I just mentioned: deity work, worshipping, and a spiritual connection / relationship. And really think for yourself which one suits you the best. Okay, So I have broken down this whole topic into steps. I have my notes here, and we are going to go one by one, and we are going to discuss each of those steps individually. So, number one, I want you to ask yourself, why do you want a relationship with a spirit or a deity? What is your honest reason for seeking this relationship? What do you expect from this relationship? I find it best, if you have never engaged in spiritual relationships, to sit down with your journal and really think and reflect on those questions, because they are the foundation of the connection that you are going to experience. So it's very important to know your motivations for seeking out a connection or a relationship. Number two on my list, waiting for a sign that a deity or a spirit is interested versus you initiating the contact. There is a huge debate in the online community, which one is better. In my opinion, both options are valid. Sometimes a deity is trying to catch your attention by sending you signs, and other times you may wish to approach a deity and make the first move. Both are totally fine. Number three, I want to quickly speak about what is considered to be a sign, so that if a spirit or a deity is trying to catch your attention, you know what to expect, what to look out for. So, what I wrote: a sign is a reoccurring event that is a bit odd for your normal everyday experience, that is outside of your normal, and that has reoccurring patterns that catch your attention, and that is symbolic in nature. For example, let's say you live in a city and there are a lot of crows around you, and you are starting to think that the Morrigan is sending you signs and is wanting to connect with you, and you start thinking that those crows are a sign. But we need to take a moment and pause and actually reflect. Is it normal for you to see crows where you live? Is it a normal everyday occurrence? If the answer is yes, then most likely it's not a sign. It's just that there are a lot of crows living around you. But on the other hand, if you start seeing a lot of crows and you live in an area that normally there are no crows or very little, you may consider this a sign if it keeps repeating and repeating. Okay, so first you notice the reoccurring pattern that's outside of your norm. That's the first step. Second step in determining whether something is a sign or it isn't. The second step, decode the symbolic meaning by research. Research plays a huge role in the first part of establishing a spiritual or deity relationship, because you need to familiarize yourself with the symbols of the deities, especially if you think that you're getting a sign. So be patient and research. Nowadays, doing research is very easy. You can hop online and yeah. Third step in determining a sign. If it's a sign, you need to tie it to a specific deity, and you are going to do that by research, research the thing that you are seeing that keeps repeating, that's outside of the norm. Research its symbolism and then use your intuition to determine the connection between it and a particular face of the divine. Okay, number 4, to determine whether or not you are receiving signs. Use divination to confirm. Once you are suspecting that, for example, the Morrigan is reaching out, use some sort of divination to reach out and directly ask her, is this sign from you? And she will give you an answer. Now, if you can't divine, if you're not familiar with any form of divination meaning pendulums, tarot cards, oracle cards, rune casting, scrying, what have you, you can reach out to a professional tarot reader or a person that is casting the runes and ask them to confirm this sign for you. So we've covered first step, determining your motivations for seeking a spiritual connection with a particular being. Waiting for a sign versus reaching out first, and then what is actually a sign and how to confirm it. The next step on my list is what to do if you actually decide to initiate the contact, if you want to make the first step and you don't want to wait around for some deity to send you a sign so that you can experience a deity relationship. It is totally valid to do that, to initiate the contact first. Okay, so I just forgot to mention that for number 1, for your reasons for reaching out to a deity, I have written 2 reasons. A short-term relationship to help you achieve something. For example, if you are casting a love spell and you may feel that you need some assistance in it, you may invoke Aphrodite to give you a hand, but this is a one-time thing relationship. So it is a short-term relationship to achieve a particular goal. The second reason is to form a long-term relationship or connection where you seek alignment with the spirit or deity, and to align yourself with their energy and their essence. And this is what I have with my deities, to be quite honest. So you need to really reflect what are your expectations for this connection. Okay, let's move forward with what to do if you actually decide to initiate the contact yourself. First, you need to make a decision. What deity do you want to connect to? There are a lot of different pantheons, so I suggest that you read about the mythologies. I think I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Forgive me. So in terms of how you determine what deity you want to connect to, there are 2 ways. You can pick a deity that is very close to your interests. Meaning, if you are a lover girl at heart, if you appreciate makeup, beauty, fashion, etc. on the surface level, it may seem like a good match to connect with Lady Aphrodite or Freya from the Norse pantheon, because they align with your essence, who you are as a person. So this is the first way that you may want to approach it. The second way is that you may wish to connect with a deity because you lack something in your life. For example, if you are very shy, very how to put it, afraid to express yourself, you let people walk all over you, you are a people pleaser, you may wish to connect with a more fierce face of the divine, such as the Morrigan or Ares from the Greek mythology. Both of those deities have war aspects, and they can teach you how to stand up for yourself. It is something that you lack, that you are seeking help with. So those are the two criteria that you can use to determine what deity you are interested in connecting with. So, once you have a deity in mind, once you have determined your reason, go out on the internet or your local library or what have you and start researching deities that align with your purpose. Research, 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 and familiarize yourself with their lore, myths, stories, history. That's very important. Once you have this knowledge base of different deities that align to your purpose or your goal, you can intuitively choose one of them and then initiate personal contact with them. Once you have an idea of who they are, etc. So, I have a caveat here. If the deity or spirit is a part of a close practice and you have discovered that in your research stage, you need to proceed by actually seeking initiation through the proper channels and through the proper tradition of that specific deity, so that you can avoid cultural appropriation. Because deities that are from a living close practices don't appreciate you just reaching to them, and their community won't appreciate it either. So if the deity that you are interested in is from a close practice, please seek a qualified practitioner from that tradition to initiate you into their mysteries. But if the deity that you are interested in is from a open practice or from a ancient religion that is no longer living, it's not closed, you can proceed and reach out to the deity yourself without actually seeking another person to facilitate the contact, if you wish to do so. So, you've done your research, you know who you want to connect with, you know whether or not you have the right to do so in terms of it being a closed practice or an open one. Now it's time to reach out and ask for a sign from that specific deity, or seek a direct conversation and communion. If you can, in this instance, I will say that you need to apply your divinatory skills once again for this conversation part with the deity, or you may choose to do it in meditation or in a trance or on a journey or on a shamanic journey. If you don't know how to do any of those things and you don't have an interest in any of those things, which I don't know any spiritual practitioner that doesn't have an interest in at least one of those things, you can always ask a professional to once again clarify and to do that for you and to be the mediator between yourself and the spirit. Basically, to do a deity confirmation for you. Once you've received the sign that this deity is interested in working with you, you can set up a space with specific, or an altar with specific items that through your research you have established that this deity enjoys. And then you can create a safe container, you can cast a circle, and create a safe space and invite that spirit in so that you can commune with them if you have decided to do it yourself. This is what I will advise you. If you are new to this, I would strongly advise that you work in some kind of a protective circle or space, just so that you feel calm and secure that the only being that can cross this protective barrier is the deity that you are inviting in, because there are trickster spirits out there. And if you are a very new to this, very new practitioner, it's always best to use protective measures instead of being anxious. So yeah. Once you have done that, once you are in the circle and once you have invited your chosen deity, you can either speak to them through your words, you can do a tarot reading, a divination in order to conduct the conversation part, or you can write them a letter. This is what I did for Hecate in our first, when I first reached out. I wrote her a letter explaining why I want to have a relationship with her, etc. And after that, I am suggesting that you ask for a sign if they are, to determine if they are interested in a relationship with you. So I would ask for a very specific sign to confirm if they are interested in a relationship with me, if I was doing this. And I would also specify that they send me a different sign, also very specific, if they have no interest in connecting with me. If you're doing a conversation through the tarot, this step is not necessary. And you can sometimes tell just by using your intuition and by the energy in the sacred space whether or not the deity is actually interested in pursuing a connection, or if it was just something that you wanted to be true and they're not actually interested. But those are some ways that you can confirm. Because spiritual connection and communication is not the same as me talking to another human. It involves using your discernment, your intuition, in actually having a deep knowledge and sense of symbolic language, interpretation of those symbols, and being in touch with their with energy. Energy work is huge here because you need to be able to determine what's yours in terms of thoughts, feeling, etc., and what comes from the deity or the spirit. So it has a lot of components. But always be specific. Always be very, very specific. Now I have some. Okay. I have some rules, but I'll cover them a bit later. So, if you determine that the deity or spirit is not interested in the relationship, in the connection, because you initiated it first. And if they're not interested, say thank you for their time and for them showing up, and be very respectful. Even though they are not interested, be very, very respectful. Say thank you, say goodbye, and leave them alone. Nobody likes to be bothered by a person or something that they are not interested in. It's annoying. And the same applies to deities. So be respectful. I just want to mention that in terms of signs, please, please, please don't use TikTok algorithms as a sign. Seeing Hecate all over TikTok is not a sign that she wants to work with you. All of social media is based on algorithms that pump to you what's most trendy, what's most watched, and especially on TikTok, if you watch even a single video that's about Hecate, the algorithm will keep feeding you content associated with her, for example. So please don't use social media to determine signs from deity. Use nature, use your surroundings, for example, you can specify in your first contact that you wish to see three red cars, one after the other, 3 times for a yes. For example, use things that cannot be manipulated by algorithms to determine your sign. Okay, so number 5. What happens if the deity is interested in working with you? If the interest is mutual. So you've initiated the contact, you've done your research, you wrote them a letter, or you had a conversation with them, you have all of the signs confirmed, and you know that there is an interest. First step, you can write a contract with terms, conditions, and expectations that is for a specific period of time. Keep in mind that those terms, conditions, and expectations should be for both sides. Be very specific in what you can do for the deity, what you expect from them in return, and what are your absolute no-nos in terms of what you absolutely refuse to do. Use divination or your intuition to sense their response and their needs, expectation, etc. This is very important because when you are first establishing a relationship with a spirit or a deity, some guidelines and clear expectations help the connection grow, because essentially what you are doing is you are creating a container for this relationship to flourish. And using a specific time frame is very useful, so that you have time to reflect on how they are affecting your life. Are you able to deliver on what you have promised initially, etc. Once that's done and the terms, conditions, expectations are clear for both sides, you need to start practicing and keeping your end of the deal. Don't over-promise and under-deliver. That's a very important rule in terms of spiritual communication, because it's important to stick to your word and be honest. Okay, I have some rules for connecting and building relationship with a deity. First one, always be respectful. Always be respectful. You deserve respect, and the spiritual being also deserves respect. Be honest. Completely unfiltered and honest. Because if you lie to yourself or if you lie to the deity, guess what? The connection won't go as you wish it to go. Don't over promise and under deliver, meaning if in the contract you've said that you will light a candle for them every Wednesday and you will give them fresh water every Wednesday, guess what? They will expect from you those things every Wednesday. So do that. Show up. Be consistent. The next one, keep a journal or have some way of recording your experiences, because your memory is not the most reliable in terms of spirit. Basically, your memory is not the most reliable source. It's for reference. It's always useful to have a journal to write all of your experiences, to write down your contract, so that you can reference it. In that initial test run, meaning the time frame for the first contract period, don't give them any bodily offerings, meaning don't give blood, spit, bodily fluids, nails, hair, etc. I'm saying this because those things, those offerings, create a very, very strong bond and connection. And it's a more of a long-term thing to offer to the deity, and it creates a more permanent bond between you guys. And the whole idea of having a first contract and initial run is to actually see how this deity is influencing you emotionally, spiritually, your daily life. You will start experiencing changes in all levels or on a particular level, and this test run will actually serve you as a checkpoint, because once the time frame of the contract ends, you can sit down and reevaluate whether or not this is a influence, an energy that is beneficial to you and how you want to live, etc. So in this first stage, don't create this solid bond if you're not sure that this is something that you want to keep long term in your life. Okay, number 6. After the agreed period is over, revisit the contract and your relationship, the effects it has on your life, internally, externally, and make a decision. Either you are going to part ways respectfully with that being. You can keep the same contract going forward for example, another year or whatever feels appropriate. Or you can create a new set of conditions, terms, or you can go even deeper with the connection. You can initiate yourself, you can dedicate yourself. There are a lot of ways to go once you are familiar with the energy of the being, how they affect your life, do you like being in a relationship with them, etc. It's basically like dating. When you first meet a potential interest romantically in your mundane life, the best case scenario is that you spend a certain amount of time dating this person so that you can get to know them, you can get to know their habits, how they influence you, how you influence them, and so that at the at some point in the dating stage, you can make an informed decision whether or not you want a serious relationship and connection with that person. It's the same with deity relationships. So don't rush it. Be very mindful. Keep a record so that you have a very solid base upon which you can make a decision later on. Okay, so I just want to mention that some deities come in our lives for a reason. Some deities or spirits come for a season, and then we have those lifetime connections. But you are not going to be able to discern those things if you don't do your research, if you don't trust your intuition, if you don't have the skills to communicate with them, and actually if you don't the respect to show up and keep your end of the bargain. Okay, those are the main things to consider when you are initiating and when you are first stepping into a relationship with a deity. Deity connection is something that can largely improve your life, but it is not for everybody. It involves a lot of dedication, even in those first stages. It involves actual work on the physical plane. It involves giving offering your time, your attention, constantly showing up and being serious. So if you don't think that you can do those things and you're not ready, please don't engage. Don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. But deity work can improve your life drastically, and it can change you from the inside. And it's something very, very beautiful to pursue. Now I just want to mention that once you've established the connection with your deity, you can start experiencing hearing them in your inner in your mind. You can start experiencing seeing things, visions. You can start to develop that inner knowing that comes from them. This is something that I have from Hecate. I have this deep inner knowing of what I'm supposed to say, what she wants, etc. And it is a very distinctive feeling that I experience in my body. You can develop a very specific language between you and them that involves bodily sensations, hearing their voice, etc. You can start establishing signs that you see from them in your divination session or when you are out and about in the external world. Those things will come in time. What I wanted to say is that if that voice or that knowing that you think is coming from a spirit or a deity is telling you to harm yourself, harm another human, an animal, etc., it's most likely a psychotic episode and it's not actually coming from that spirit. So please seek professional help. Deity work, in my experience, and deities will never push you to do something that is hurtful to another living being a plant, animal, person, yourself. Deities are not interested in those things. So please be very mindful. Use your intelligence, use your rationality, and check yourself. In terms of spirit communication, you need to always check yourself. Is this beneficial? Or is this something that I need to go and get checked mentally? Because Your mental and emotional and physical health always comes first, and deities will never ask you to compromise those things, or they will never ask you for something horrendous. Okay, I think that that's everything that I wanted to say on the topic of spiritual relationships and initiating spiritual connections. Yeah, I think that the next topic that I want to cover is actually altars and sacred space and my opinions on them. Before we part ways, I just want to say all of the things that I discussed today are personal opinions. This is how I go and I conduct my personal relationship with deities and spirits. So please take what resonates and do your own research. Those are my opinions and what I found works best for me. So yeah, with having said that, I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me and for being here with me on the Art Occultist. Your presence means the world to me, and I'm so happy that we are building this community together. Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Elisa, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.